from Kubo, Dennis van Leider. Dennis, good morning to you.
Andrew, good morning to you.
And on the line we have Yuki Mori from Dyson in Japan. Good evening to you, Yuki.
Good evening, Mr. Andrew.
We'll come and speak to you in just a second, but firstly to Dennis. We're talking about having less impact and healthy food. What is the topic of our session here right now? What are we talking about and why?
Why we talk about food safety. One of the, let's say, topics at the moment with the current situation of COVID, people are very scared about food quality. Is it polluted? Are there pesticides on it or whatever? So that's why the topic is on the table from production of vegetables without use of chemical treatment, no pesticides, or let's say as less as possible.
And that comes on top of growing awareness, shall we say, of what's happening in our food supply chain.
We have to look after Mother Nature to take care of the natural sources for the future.
Absolutely. We're having quite a few sessions where the focus was really on, this heightened awareness of where food is being produced, vegetables as well. And the desire, the strong consumer and retail desire to be cleaner, fresher, healthier. So that's what we want to talk about right now, and also, what Kubo is doing to contribute towards that. And we said that we're going to have a focus on Asia. Would you like, before we go over to Yuki, would you like to just set the scene for the situation there?
Situation is that it has been rapidly changing, the demand of the people in Asia. What you see is that there is a kind of adaptation of the European American style, that the people in Asia are looking for fresh vegetables, lettuce, salads, instead of let's say the common ingredients they use, like rice and noodles. So there's a huge opportunity for us as Kubo, as a greenhouse builder for vegetables, together with our partner in Japan.
Yeah, when you're talking particularly about East Asia in that context. Absolutely. Yuki, let's bring you in here if we can right away. Describe the situation in terms of consumer behaviors in Japan when it comes to fresh vegetables, please.
Yes, actually nowadays in Japan, more and more, like Dennis told us, there are more demands for processing foods, because also involving Western style, lunches, dinners. In recent years, our demand were basically on locals, so our production was basically from regions to regions. But nowadays, there are huge demands everywhere, especially in the big cities like Tokyo and in Osaka. It needs to have a constant and quality and constant amount of vegetables and fruits and so on is necessary. And more demands towards productivity. Thus, introduction of Dutch technology greenhouse in Japan is becoming more and more common.
No, excellent. And you're the, if you like, Japanese partner for Kubo and helping to bring up all kinds of new production technologies for this situation exactly. But the Japanese standards when it comes to food quality are extremely high anyway. Of course, a burgeoning population, big cities. 3/4 of Japan, I believe, is quite mountainous.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, so that means that the area for, shall we say, open field food production is extremely limited.
Yes, that is true. And when we talk about agriculture, there is, generally speaking, open field type of growing, and also a greenhouse type of growing. And against the open type of field of growing, greenhouse production is much less. And actually, in that type of greenhouse growing, a climate-controlled, like Dutch technology Venlo type greenhouse is more or less. but actually the demands of food stability and the quality level is more and more demanding. There are more demands of those type of greenhouse to be introduced in Japan.
So potential demand, Dennis, for greenhouses in Japan and other parts of Asia as well. But well, if we're comparing greenhouse production to open field production, in terms of obviously land, that's quite obvious, but in terms of resource use, where are the advantages there? I'm thinking water, fertilizer, pesticides.
Yeah, water for sure. For example, just to give a number, if you want to grow 1 kilo of tomatoes in the open field, you use more than 200 liters of water. And if you do that the same in a covered area in a greenhouse, you go back to only 40 liters. So that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
The combination of fertilizers and waters, yeah, that's same. If you use it in the open field, you spread it, you use it, and it is gone, and it will never be reused. The technology we use in the greenhouse is that there is drain, it comes back, it is cleaned, disinfected, and can be reused. So, yeah, the waste of water as natural source and the fertilizers is really limited nowadays.
And the pesticide is obviously here in Europe a very, very hot topic, but in Asia as well, more and more. But I believe that in certain parts of Asia, maybe not Japan so much, but certain parts that pesticides are still quite common.
Yeah, it is. Let's say we are now changing from the open field to the greenhouse. It is still a common use of pesticides from the past, but yeah, with the technologies nowadays, with Kubo, with our system, with overpressure, ultra-klima, means is that the incoming pesticides is limited because of the overpressure. It cannot fly in. We have even the insect nettings to be aware of, let's say, to control the input and the output of the air. That means that in that case you don't need, let's say, chemical treatment, pesticides to be used in the greenhouse for the crop. So what you can offer the public, the consumers, is pesticide free, or let's say as less as possible.
And that's a massive demand, Yuki, in Japan, I assume, as well. Few pesticides. People are very aware, I assume, about the use of pesticides and chemicals.
Yes, actually true. Because for like family-based consumers, a lot of small children, they are eating vegetables and fruits, and as a parents, they would like to feed those children with more and more healthy food. So actually, what he mentioned, that is totally true in here.
And Dennis, I believe, from what I've understood from other sessions, that having a uniform, homogeneous climate and environment, that the plants are cared for better. They feel more at home. They're not as stressed.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
You're completely right. What you understood from the sessions is stress is one of the, let's say, topics that is using the plant, let's say, is using more water. There is more, let's say, what was it? That the transpiring of the plant is more when there is stress. So that means he needs to absorb more water. So in case of there is an homogeneous climate, the plant feels fine, okay. So the use of water is limited.
And nutrients as well?
Yeah, it's a combination. What you give to the plant is nutrients together with water. So if the total assumption of the consumption of water is okay, then the nutrients, what needs to be added, is also in control.
So just like us humans, when we're stressed and we tend to eat a bit more and sweat a bit more and maybe drink a bit more, perhaps water, maybe not, then it's the same for a plant, basically.
Yeah, what I sometimes try to explain to, let's say, people who are not familiar with our systems, with the greenhouse industry, is like a plant is more or less the same in behavior as a human being. If we are in a comfortable situation, we operate okay. So the plant, vegetable, if it's tomato, pepper, whatever, is in the same situation.
Understood. Now we have the opportunity for you at home to ask some questions to Dennis and to Yuki, maybe about the Asian market, maybe about greenhouses in general. So I just wanted to remind you to use your web browser and send your questions here into the studio. We'll come to those in just a second. What else can you tell me about the semi-closed greenhouse, which I believe Kubo invented?
Yeah, it's correct. We invented more than 14 years ago, together with a grower who was familiar to the Cubo, who has already normal, traditional Venlo greenhouses. It was developed for California, for the area of Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, where there is a problem with the wind changing, whiteflies. And he was looking for a possibility to have no insect nettings as less as possible, because that makes shade. And he wants to be in control for rising temperatures and the humidity levels. So step by step we developed the system, UltraClima, and that is now adapted in the Japanese market, but in other regions in Asia, where we produce flowers, vegetables, with, let's say, control of the environment with overpressure. That means that, now what you already said, homogeneous climate from side gable to side gable, end gable to end gable. The consumption of heat is limited because you're in control, there is no spoil. Same with water, etc. So yeah, the total concept is to be in control as much as possible.
Understood. Yuki, the semi-closed greenhouse, how much of that is in demand in Japan? Is that something which is a hot topic? And how much of the projects that you're working on are with semi-closed?
Yes, actually, the semi-closed technology is becoming more and more a hot topic in Japan. This is due to the fact that we have severe challenges in the summer period, where we have hot and humid climate almost over Japan. And with the help of introduction of Cubo UltraClima semi-closed technology, we have been able to tackle the serious humidity and temperature challenges in the night times. And we were able to overcome those situations. And I believe that we have done 3 projects currently over in Japan, and we are looking forward to build more projects over here.
So that's a technology which you assume is going to have greater demand moving forward?
Yes, due to our experiences, more and more customers, clients, they are interested in the growth in this way.
Okay. So we have a question from Joyce Raskin. Good morning. Can you give an estimation of the shares of outdoor, greenhouse, indoor, and vertical farming for Japan and Asia in total? I'm going to come to Dennis first, and Yuki, if you could think about it from a Japanese perspective. So how much is outdoor, how much is greenhouse, how much is indoor vertical farming? Give us a flavor, maybe not only for Asia, but for the world, if you want to.
What we know covered in the world is only 8%. The 8% of all the production facilities in the world is 8%.
So greenhouse or indoor farming would be 8% in total. 92% is outdoor.
Still outdoor
open
farming.
Field farming.
Open field farming.
For vegetables. Or do you include meats?
I think that is average.
Products?
I cannot say the difference between flowers or vegetables, but in general.
But not grain, for example.
No.
So things that you could grow in a greenhouse or an indoor environment. Actually, 92% of it is still grown outdoors.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So there's a lot to win for the market.
Yeah.
I think that if we look to, let's say, Japan, Korea, it's, let's say, the same. If we look to some new emerging markets, it is even what is undercovered by plastic is even less compared to the open field.
And the Netherlands, any idea? Is it a bit higher here, I assume?
Good question.
Okay, think about it. We'll ask Yuki. Is that the situation in Japan? About 8% maybe is indoor?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not fully aware of those figures, but I assume, say generally speaking, the idea is correct.
Yep.
So around, I think, 10% is only covered with like greenhouse, including plastic and a tunnel greenhouse, not high tech.
Yeah.
And out of those greenhouses, I thought it was around 2 or 3% were glass greenhouse. And even out of those 2 or 3%, it is climate controlled.
Understood.
And if you compare, the use of pesticides and fertilizers for open field versus the greenhouse, and moreover to climate-controlled greenhouses, that is unbelievable.
Thank you. Another question to you, Yuki, from Sylvia Su. Good morning. What are the key differences and similarities in greenhouse design in Japan compared to the rest of the world? So what are very specific things you address in Japan for greenhouse needs, and what is Kubo doing to address those?
Yes, like we have been discussing, the advantage of greenhouse growing with climate control is that even though that in Japan we have several different weather conditions because we are stretched from south to north in a long distance, but the demands for those cities from south to north or north to south, that is pretty much the same. And to produce what is necessary in the market with a stable production using less energy or less pesticides, greenhouse, especially the semi-closed system, which can overcome the summer hot and humidity situation, is an advantage that is,
So,
that is the case
Dennis,
here.
how does a greenhouse in the Netherlands compare to a greenhouse in Japan? Is it just plug and play?
No. It is not plug and play. Especially in what we see in Japan is it is in the region of fire, what we call it, with the earthquakes and typhoons. So for sure we have to take that in consideration, that the design is some different, stronger to cover those characteristics of what is needed.
Understood. Yuki, to you, another question from Henk van Toil. I know you know him. As far as I know, the average age of farmers is quite high in Japan. There's a lack of younger successors. We've been talking about talent a lot here and attracting people to the industry. Does modern greenhouse technology, is it able to impact this situation? I think Henk already knows the answer. It might be a rhetorical question.
Yeah. Yes, the answer is yes, actually. And the agricultural workers, including open field workers, I understood from the statistics that the average age of the workers is actually, it was more than 65 years old. And our challenge is to have more younger people involved in a successful greenhouse business, which a greenhouse, especially a semi-closed greenhouse, can attract people.
Yeah, and that's similar all over the world, I guess, Dennis.
Yeah, and I think what is also an advantage for our system is the more production you can gain with our system in compare with that the age of the growers in Japan, but also in Korea or in China, you see, their labor is, let's say, less in control, and so if there's a higher production, the gap is filled by the system.
So basically, productivity per
Square meter.
man-woman hour, as well as per square meter, is a lot higher. And in areas where labor is very expensive, that's of course even more important.
Yeah, correct.
But also attracting people into the industry to do that. Wonderful. So, in a nutshell, when it comes to the Asian spotlight and to what's going on, greenhouses, especially the semi-closed ones, are advantageous and in great demand. And I believe that you say the future is blue.
Yeah, that's correct.
Future is blue. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening, Yuki. And Dennis, thank you to you here in the studio.
Thank you,
All the best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.